Kudos to you, and thanks for watching. Today's topic, Conditionals, Part 4. And remember, everyone is welcome. So come along and let's learn together. Whee! Feel free to stretch out, boys. There's plenty of leg room. Where does this hole go? It's a bottomless pit, Bobo. It goes down. So we're just gonna fall forever? This is terrible. Well, sure, it's a terrible situation, but it's the perfect chance to talk about the third conditional. The third conditional is all about imagining a different course of events in the past. Remember when I dropped the plate and it broke? Well, if I hadn't dropped it, it wouldn't have broken. Why did we have to jump in a bottomless pit to learn that? Well, if we hadn't jumped into the bottomless pit, we would have been burned and smashed by monsters. We can use the third conditional to talk about what the past would have been like if things were different. If I hadn't traded my energy drink to Dougie, he wouldn't have been doing cartwheels. And he wouldn't have knocked Stu into the toxic waste. And Stu wouldn't have turned into a monster. And we wouldn't have had to jump into the bottomless pit. Or to talk about things you're glad you did. Exactly so. If I hadn't started running when I did, Stu would have burned my head off. Or to express regrets about the past. If only I had stayed home today. And? It's okay, Dougie. You know, sometimes the main clause speaks for itself. You don't always need to say it. But, Bobo, I'm glad that you came to class today. And I'm sorry that you're not enjoying the part about the third conditionals. You know, a lot of students have trouble with this one. The grammar can be very complicated. But don't worry, I have a feeling our luck is going to turn around soon. Let's see if we can get a hold of Grumpy to help us out with the grammar of the third conditional. Grumpy, come in. Do you read me?
Loud and clear.
How's it going up there, Grumpy?
Okay for now. I've got the monsters distracted with some grammar exercises.
Listen, we need some information about the third conditional. Can you tell us about the grammar?
In third conditional, the if clause takes the past perfect tense.
Oh, past perfect tense. That sounds pretty complicated.
That's not so bad. It's constructed by first using the auxiliary verb had, followed by a past participle.
A past participle. That's the third form of the verbs that we use for passive voice and perfect tenses.
That's affirmative.
Great. And what can you tell us about the main clause?
The main clause uses the past conditional, which is formed with two auxiliary verbs. The first, a modal verb, like would, and the auxiliary verb have, followed again by a past participle.
So the main clause also uses a past participle, but we say would have, could have, or might have before it.
That's right.
Thanks, Grumpy. Anything else?
Yes. You should also note that both clauses of the third conditional are set in the past. But you can place either clause in the present or future by borrowing a clause from the second conditional. These are known as mixed conditionals.
Wow! So we can imagine something from the past having consequences in the present or future.
That's right. As in, if you hadn't traded away your monster catcher, the monsters would be safely contained right now.
I know. I feel like such a fool.
But we can also imagine a state in the general present that had consequences in the past.
Right, as in, if I weren't so crazy for disco dancing, I wouldn't have traded away such an important piece of classroom safety equipment.
It looks like the students aren't the only ones who have learned a lesson today.
You're right as always, Grumpy.
No matter how fun it is to dance under the dreamy light of a disco ball, student safety.
Has to be my top priority.
You know what, Grumpy? First thing tomorrow, I'm going to order 2 monster catchers.
So I'll always have a spare. Sorry, I'm gonna have to call you back.
I've got a little situation here. Over and out.
If you had made a better wish, we wouldn't have needed to jump into this hole. Well, I wouldn't have needed to make a wish if you hadn't pushed Stu into the toxic waste. It was an accident. And you know what? If you hadn't been screaming, I probably wouldn't have crashed into him. Well, I wouldn't have screamed if you hadn't given me a fake PlayStation! Boys, I'm so proud of you. Those are perfect examples of the third conditional. Now that you've both had some good ideas on how we could have avoided this situation, I have a little surprise. Making wishes doesn't only happen for the present or future. You can also make wishes to change the past using the past perfect tense, just like the if clause of the third conditional. But how? Do you have another birthday cake? We don't need a birthday cake, Dougie. I have this. A wishbone. A wishbone? That's what we call this little forked bone that goes between a bird's shoulders. This one's from a magical turkey. It's called a wishbone because if 2 people each take one side of the wishbone and pull it apart, the one with the bigger piece gets to make a wish. Remember, we start by saying, I wish. Then you say your wish in the past perfect tense. Then you can turn back time and your wish will be granted. First, you have to break the wishbone. Wow, Bobo, look at that. You got the bigger piece. It looks like you get a second chance to save us all. So, what will you wish for? I wish I had never traded my energy drink to Dougie. What do we do now? Now we wait for the magic to happen. Look! it, Bobo! You saved us! And look, it's Stu! That was a great class today. I think you all deserve a little treat. Ice cream! Yeah!